Now, more than 4 months after a pandemic that has no cure yet, many countries are seeking quick steps that can flatten the rising curve. Nigeria is not left out. Some herbal remedies have been mentioned, but have not been certified for use. Already, Nigeria has reached out to Madagascar for its own remedy called COVID Organic. The Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has confirmed that the country will soon take delivery of the herbal cure for coronavirus from Madagascar to test its efficacy. Could herbal drugs be the remedy to the raging coronavirus? Joining me via Skype is JosephAgbedahunsi, Professor of Pharmacognosy, Director, Drug Research and Production Unit, Obafemi Awolowo University. He joins me via Skype. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Now, Nigeria has all the resources needed when you talk about scientists and who have also developed natural and herbal products. When you talk about whatever the resource is that is needed to develop herbal products or any form of product, but then it doesn't seem like we really want to embrace some homemade vaccine or homemade remedy. What do you think is at the heart of this?
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria. The major problem that we have in Nigeria concerning the raw materials are very much available, but it is the technology, the equipment to execute this research for the development of necessary vaccine that is the major problem that we have. And quite a number of our institutions, both at the university and research institutes, there are debts in equipment that will not really enable us to be able to do this. Be that as it may, there are some drugs that had been developed, like the one that Reverend Father Alsem Adodo at the Parks Herbal developed. What have we done with that? There are some remedies here and there that are there that can be used in the management of this disease, not necessarily the vaccine, but you find out that the country is not really very, very interested in getting what we have produced in Nigeria, but they prefer going to Madagascar, looking for drugs from other countries. Why don't we develop our own institution? That is the major problem that I see in the development of herbal drugs for the management of not only COVID, and very many other diseases.
So it must come to you as good news hearing that the CBN is ready to support homegrown, perhaps a vaccine or any form of remedy with about 100 million naira for anyone who has some sort of cure or research.
Well, that would be very, very interesting, and that would be really much encouraging in the sense that if central bank, but you see, the fact is that quite a number of this thing requires equipment, real, very, very expensive equipment that can be used in this research. And I don't know how we can import them. These are things that we ought to have done long, long, long ago, that by now, you see, it's just a matter of going to the lab and bringing out whatever we have. So that is my problem. It's really encouraging. Take, for example, our health sector. Prior to COVID-19, our health sector is nothing in Nigeria. But thank God for this coronavirus, this disease. There had been a great improvement in our health sector. So I believe such a thing too should be for the educational sector, especially in our research institutes, in our universities and what have you. So it is really welcoming and it's really encouraging.
So from the look of things now, post-COVID-19, or with the government's response by bringing about this 100 million naira support, perhaps we might be seeing some level of development post-COVID-19 in the areas of research and even in our institutions.
I believe so. I believe so. And that would be very, very welcoming.
All right, let's leave the conversation here now. Thank you so much, JosephAgbedahunsi, for speaking with us. Joining me via Skype is JosephAgbedahunsi, a professor of Pharmacognosy, Director, Drug Research and Production Unit, Obafemi Awolowo University. He joins me via Skype. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Now, a lot of persons have spoken against the imputation of the Madagascar COVID remedy, and they are saying perhaps where we need to begin is to perhaps take what Professor Morisiwu has said he has and have a clinical trial or test trial, whichever way. What do you make of this?
Yes, thank you very much. There are lots of efforts that have been made in Nigeria by Nigerian scientists in getting drugs that will be used to manage COVID-19. And lots of them. You have that of the Pax Herbal at Iwu, and you have in many of our research institutes also and our university. I think it is really very, very important that we subject all this to clinical trials and to be able to see which of them. But if you may just allow me to digress a little bit concerning this herbal remedy. You see, if one knows the etiology of viral infection, and I believe that while we are looking for drug that can be used to bring a permanent solution to COVID-19, there are some remedies that our people should be able to use. You see, all viral infections, they have, they don't kill per se. It is the opportunistic infections that comes out of them. So, and what those viruses, what they do is that they attack the immune system. So I believe that while we are looking for drugs that will be used in the management of COVID-19, there should be some remedies that our people can be using, because in the first instance, once you notice it, one of the first symptoms of COVID-19 is dry throat, sore throat, and things like that. Immediately you have that, there are certain simple treatments that one can do. That is, getting salt into hot water, use it to gargle several times.
All right.
As a result of that, you will have respite. And I want you to know that salt has is an antibiotic agent. So not only that, there are some drugs that can be taken. You see, the thing is that before the thing gets so the body becomes so morbid, if one can attack it, if one has diarrhea, which is one of the symptoms of COVID-19, one can use oral rehydration solution, ORS. If you can't get ORS, get salt and get sugar, put it in water and take it.
Prof, because of want of time, I'd like for you to touch on some other aspects before we let you go. Also trying to look for homegrown solutions. In 2015, Nigeria came up with a particular drug, and even some pharmacists said that it wasn't popular. If we come up with something at this time, do you see Nigerians embracing this wholeheartedly?
Well, if it is efficacious, Nigerians will embrace it. But the major problem is that, will our government embrace it? You see, we have that problem in Nigeria, that we don't have confidence in what we do. We prefer looking outwards. That is just the problem. But I believe that once the thing, nobody hates good things. Once it is proven that this drug is very, very good, people will embrace it, people will use it. The only thing is that getting to that level, because in drug manufacturing, it takes series of stages. So you first of all, the toxicology. After the toxicology, you go to clinical trials, you look at the efficacy, clinical trials and things like that, formulation. So this takes some time. So that's just it. But definitely, if it is good, people will embrace it.
All right, and sticking with if it is good, you would recall that perhaps in 1998 there was a sickle cell drug developed, and what happened was we couldn't produce it up to the level of a commercial scale where it could get to everyone. If we get a drug now, do we have that capacity to develop it to the point of a commercial scale that we could get it across to everyone and perhaps sell across the world?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, you see, if there is take for example the sickle cell drug that you mentioned, the one at Niprid, what happened to it? You see, we scientists, we can develop drug, but the commercialization, the marketing of such drugs depends on our entrepreneurs and government. If there is that will by the government to embrace what we produce, to give attention to what our universities and our research institutes, what we do, I believe that we will get there. Like that drug, it was taken abroad, and because sickle cell is an African, it's a subtropical disease. So unlike what happens in some other disease, like this COVID now, which is worldwide, I believe that if we get that drug, people will embrace it worldwide.
All right, Professor JosephAgbedahunsi, Professor of Pharmacognosy, Director, Drug Research and Production Unit, OAU, thank you for speaking with us.